What up?
Hey, Alex, how's it going?
Your hair's not crazy today. What's going on here?
I just wore a hat. That's what happened.
You took my thunder. Usually I get to make fun of you and your hair, but you destroyed that today.
Yeah, I had to mask it for the podcast.
Nah, we keep it fun. So let's start from the top. Give us a little background on yourself and on Samir as a person.
Yeah, I mean, it's really crazy that I stumbled in real estate. Don't really have much background in buying or selling homes, but grew up in the Washington area. Used to play a lot of chess. That was my big thing when I was growing up. I was a big chess player. Used to go to tournaments and sort of compete. Ended up coming out to school at Stanford, where I was in the Bay Area, and then post graduation had a few stints at some tech companies. Worked for a little bit at Microsoft. Worked for a little bit at Apple, but always wanted to do something of my own. So ended up going through Y Combinator, generally building AI automations for businesses, and along the way stumbled on kind of this industry, working with some early partners, have been progressing ever since. So still early in the journey, building AI for real estate lending teams, and continue to grow.
Cool. Before we get into the business side, so how was the college experience in Stanford?
Pretty interesting time, a lot of late nights that I no longer have these days. Gotten a bit older, but it's a really fresh vibe. All the students there are sort of energetic, bubbly, interested to try new things. A lot of great times, great memories and experiences. But I'm glad that I'm past college now.
I'm not. I wish I was still in college. That was a lot of fun, at least for me.
Yeah.
So before you started Flare, and you worked for some big companies, did you have any other startups that kind of failed or grew, or you tested? Anything else that you played with?
Believe it or not, I started out, building some hacks or some small projects around marketing automation. So before all of these image models from OpenAI and DALL-E and so on got really good, we were actually trying to generate, marketing videos, like short marketing videos or short marketing content for e-commerce brands. I think it was a bit earlier than when the tech finally got there. So ended up shutting that down, progressing Flare. Yeah.
And then I know you're young, but you can still get burned out as you're getting through this startup that's actually growing and scaling right now. What's your go-to method to reload? What do you do when you got to hit the reset button mentally and come back to par? Any tricks?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a long game. So, you gotta always have a way to recharge so that you can stick with it for the long term. I really enjoy going on runs or going on jogs. You can have a lot of time to just sort of think to yourself. You get a lot of ideas too, just by not having your phone in front of you. You get a lot of ideas when you're just kind of thinking on a run.
Are you listening to music or podcasts, or are you just bare bones?
Yeah, mostly podcasts. Listen to a lot of podcasts, but in the background am thinking about other things too. So it's kind of all background.
Before we get into the real stuff, if you could have a drink with anybody, a drink, dessert, whatever you want to do with them, anybody in the world, dead or alive, who would you pick?
It's a tough one. And so many interesting people that are probably just coming up that I don't even know about. But if I were to pick, I think I would have a really interesting time talking to somebody like Isaac Newton from the 1600s, just to kind of pick his brain on how he thought about the world. I mean, and really did the apple fall from the tree, or was that something that he made up after he already figured it out?
Love it. All right, let's get into kind of the learning about Flare. So we kind of go into the hood a little bit. So from the 100,000 foot view, what problem is Flare solving? Where are you guys at today?
Essentially, what we aim to help businesses with is, following up with top of funnel opportunities. So for example, your real estate mortgage team, there's so many leads that just don't get responded to and they don't get answers. This is obviously a huge missed opportunity for these businesses that could be, gotten back just by making a phone call. But most of these businesses are missing 50% or more of these phone calls. And so what we aim to do is provide businesses with a way to, every customer gets responded to with a very consistent experience, and also a way to elevate the brand. So like maintain sort of a gracefulness in all of these communications while also making sure that every customer is served.
Today, who's your ideal customer? Who's using you guys outside of us? Who else is using you guys? What type of companies?
Yeah, so we work with teams both large and small. Any team that has like, a set of agents that you're working with and getting inbound leads to one of your, CRM channels through other marketing techniques or marketing approaches, Flare is a great fit. We basically provide an AI concierge that can follow up with every prospect in real time, gather motivations for why somebody might be looking to buy or sell a property, looking for, a new home loan or any sort of loan product, whether that's a HELOC, refinance, or just a standard new purchase loan. You can ensure that, with our system that every customer gets attended to, nothing sort of slips through the cracks. So we work with both, large and small teams to help really drive that top of funnel.
What's your pricing model? So everybody's kind of aligned. How do you guys charge? Is it subscription based, pay per interaction, pay per user? How are you guys doing it?
So we typically have a flat subscription fee for the majority of our customers, which is like a monthly subscription that covers a set number of interactions with potential customers. But then past, a certain volume of interactions or past a certain volume of customers, we start going into just a true usage-based pricing, and we price per conversation.
How has the business model changed? I imagine you incubated and you thought it was going to go here, and now it's over here. Or has it stayed in the same kind of path that you predicted? How has it pivoted? What have you changed? Walk us through that kind of founder experience share of, I thought we were going to do this, but in reality, the market told us to do that.
So initially, we thought that we were going to do call analytics for a lot of these businesses because we knew that so many real estate mortgage companies are making so many calls for businesses that we actually started out with a product that could analyze, all of these conversations and gather sort of like deeper insights into what was going on in the calls. What are customers telling, as well as where can the conversations really be improved, or where could there be sort of like follow-up actions that would drive the business forward. But what we ended up finding is that actually the biggest pain point is that most of these businesses don't have enough resources on hand to actually make outgoing connections. And so the biggest unlock that we found with these customers and working with through the journey is that actually the biggest sort of unlock is being able to connect with people that are actually looking to be connected with. And that's actually a super hard thing that people were doing manually, but right now there's an automated way to do it.
And I also think, just from my experience, is that a lot of times when you have humans, they have set hours, lunch, dinner, holidays, whatever. And with you guys, that doesn't exist. It's not a hurdle anymore.
100%. That's the other sort of unlock that we found, is that the consistency is a big thing. Many times a team of ISAs or a team of offshore reps, pretty hard in terms of the overhead involved, not just in terms of making the individual reps making very manual, tedious, and very cumbersome calls, but in terms of even managing those reps. Oftentimes you have to have another lead or a manager that's QAs the reps, onboards each one. They don't cover after hours or weekend sort of opportunities. So having that consistency of experience with human-like conversation is something that's really attractive to businesses.
So now let's get a little bit more technical. Don't get too nerdy. Stay a little bit higher above. Looking into the technical side, how does the Flare agent work its magic? If you were talking to a real estate person who's not crazy into AI, how do you take a layer into it that they're like, that's interesting, I have that problem, or I didn't know that existed? How does that work?
So it's super simple. The way that, we work with businesses today is, especially if a business has an existing calling team, whether that's an activations team or a support team or a sort of like team of ISAs that are, tasked with nurtures and follow-ups, that's kind of where we start, saying that, hey, we can break down the category of calls that your businesses currently make and start to design sort of a digital assistant that can handle and pick up some of these low-hanging fruit calls. And from there, we basically design, an AI agent that can handle these conversations meaningfully and reasonably well. configure it to essentially plug into your existing tech stack, your existing workflows, CRMs that you may be using. From there, essentially test and optimize the agent, and then finally deploy the system to a live setting where now you have an AI concierge that's handling conversations with live buyers, sellers, investors, loan applicants, and handling these conversations for you around the clock, 24/7 and on the weekends.
Specifically on the real estate side.
Looking for exclusive off-market deals with tenants in place and prepaid rent? Visit sell2rent.com. Earn cash flow and equity from day one.
There's a lot of the weird terminologies that we use. And if you're talking about loans, there's a whole lot of lingo there. If you're talking about transactions, lingo there. We're talking about discounts and all that. How have you guys kind of conquered that market, and how has it been? Just, I imagine each of them has a little bit different of a lens, but how have you guys jumped into kind of like the real estate kind of semantics?
Yeah, exactly. And it all starts with a conversation. So, conversations that our agents are optimized for have been completely fine-tuned and trained for real estate and lending sort of conversations. We're pre-baked to answer specific questions related to real estate or lending. In terms of the workflow, we've learned a lot working with real estate teams, real estate brokers, in terms of like how, the coordination between interested opportunity in terms of like somebody that's looking to buy or sell, being able to initiate live transfers, set appointments, and things of this nature are pretty unique in the real estate world and in sort of the mortgage world, where you may want to connect, just do a live connect, and we could facilitate that directly from the AI agent.
As we start, this thing's moving really fast, very fast, and just be open to change because it's going to change fast, right? What excites you as you're building the platform? Right now, you're in version maybe 2 of what you're building. What do you have as milestones coming up? What do you have as features releases? What do you have as things that we can look forward to that you're like, yeah, I can use that in the future? What do you got laid out?
Yeah, I think it's, a straightforward path. We want to first perfect the system that we currently have that handles kind of top of funnel nurture and follow up for live leads, as well as leads that you're looking to reactivate. We want to build, tighter integrations there. We have some pretty cool features like pre-dialing, pre-dialing agents while live on the call with a conversation, and other sort of cool enhancements that together make the experience super solid. And then from there, what I'm really excited about, maybe thinking, a quarter out or, some time out, is actually expanding the depth of the conversations. Being able to handle beyond concierge level, services and setting appointments to actually having deeper conversations with customers about what they're looking for in a home, or deeper conversations even with investors, understanding their buy boxes better, and so on. I think what would be super cool is, for example, on the investor side, having a concierge, which is like a voice assistant that just automatically curates hands-free their buy box into a platform like, say Sell to Rent, which can then surface these interesting opportunities or interesting properties for investors without them having to search in sort of like a static way. I think that's super cool. And there's so many use cases and so many places where AI is just going to be infused into the workflow that I'm really excited about. And we're right at the forefront.
I've seen you guys grow a lot, which is exciting. So going back to kind of like the entrepreneur journey and just life lessons. So you've listened to a lot of calls, you've read a lot of data. What have been like aha moments where you're like, I did not expect that? Is it a woman's voice is reacting better than a man's voice? People like shorter conversation, longer conversation. People are open to talk about this and that. What have you learned from like the 1 millionth of you? Because you're sitting on top of a lot of data.
Yeah, I think what I learned the most is that by reviewing the calls, there's 2 really striking things. Is that number 1, people are totally okay with talking to a digital assistant, totally okay with talking to an AI. And all you have to do is sort of set the expectation at the beginning and open up, saying that, this actually is an AI that's talking to you. And then people are willing to open up potentially even more. Maybe it's better for customers because they don't feel like there's another person, like a real person that's listening, and therefore may actually open up more in a lot of these conversations. So that's one super interesting thing, is that we're seeing that people are really talking to AI at scale. And then the second one, I guess, from like the 1,000-foot view or million-foot view, however you want to say, way high, yeah, is the connect rates are super important. So, whatever could be done to improve sort of the connection with a prospect is the most valuable, because once somebody picks up the phone, they're actually already willing to, and picks up the phone and are willing to talk, you can start to gather so much information from that conversation. But there's a lot of things that go into sort of boosting that initial pickup rate, which I think is super important. For example, being able to, try multiple attempts, have a touch plan with prospects to be able to, have multiple touch points where you give the option for customers to connect either over a voice channel or over a text or over an email is critical. And then the other pretty important is being able to register phone numbers and, even like brand caller IDs, because that builds trust with customers and therefore are more likely to pick up the phone and have a meaningful conversation.
So looking back, you're 2 years into this, 3 years into this?
Yeah, I would say we're about 2 years, around 2 years. Yeah.
So looking back at the first 2 years, what's been the hardest thing you've had to overcome? Building a new technology stack in a new industry, in an old industry, but new to use AI, especially voice. What has been the toughest thing that you've had to power through?
I think the biggest time was kind of discovering where the actual pain points were, right? We spent a lot of time just like going through so many different iterations and so many different ideas, even across industries, before we kind of landed on this pretty niche space and building something that's really tailored for these businesses. So that was probably the most unclear time of the startup, which is like we didn't really have any direction. But what has been super exciting is that once we got that initial sort of interest, we were able to sort of like, grow that interest among a set of trusted partners and be able to sort of like have a much clearer path and clearer direction to how do we sort of like grow the engine, make the product more robust, make the product more usable for customers, and also a path to, even expanding further to really be the AI layer for the real estate, lending.
Well, how are clients getting to you today? How are you meeting new customers?
So a lot of it is going to events, going to conferences, meeting people, through referrals, warm connections, and so on. So a lot of that. And then, every once in a while, also send out messages on LinkedIn and email and so on. So we're doing some direct outreach as well, but those are the primary ways.
You got any specific like use cases where you can tell us that Flare replaced an employee or help somebody get a lot more leads? Anything where they could be more tangible so someone can relate to that?
Exactly. So, the most common is any team that relies on a set of ISAs or relies on ISAs to handle things like follow-up, nurture, speed to lead. These are things that Flare is really good at. So we deploy an AI concierge that can handle instant follow-ups, 24/7 support, nurturing sequences. These are kind of our bread and butter.
I'll give you a use case because we replaced, I think, 2 employees with Flare agents. We could grow a lot faster with having AI do a lot of mundane follow-ups and reschedulings and things like that, and a speed to lead compared to having humans for that position, right? So let's talk about war stories. So like, I like live lessons. These are my favorites. So behind the scenes, so like, oh my God, that call was insane. Tell us some fun war stories of things you've listened to and heard. You're like, I did not expect that. Let us learn with you so we can laugh.
Yeah, 100%. Right now, we've been running hundreds of thousands of these calls. So had a chance to listen to a good amount across so many different people that come from so many different backgrounds. And definitely a lot of things that we learned. I think the biggest one, again, is that people are really talking to AI. Like, that was crazy to me, but I think it's becoming more and more natural. And that's a testament to, people are really going to be helped by these digital assistants for tasks that whether they're looking to buy or sell a home or close on a mortgage. But yeah, I mean, in terms of like horror stories, I think one of our early deployments, we basically set up the AI to have a touch plan that didn't quite go as expected. So for example, we had a touch plan that maybe set out for 6-7 attempts within a period of a week or two. There were some malfunctions in our system that actually caused the AI to repeatedly dial, each of these numbers probably 2 or 3x the expected amount. But yeah, that was a fun experience to see what happened when completely overdialed a lot of these guys.
Did it go well or did it go bad?
It didn't go so well. A lot of the calls ended up with some angry customers. But at the same time, we kind of learned that those pieces are super important. Being able to manage when somebody opts out of a call or requests not to be, additionally call is super important to make sure that that's very stable and very robust. And then number 2, making sure that we're having a reasonable sort of touch plan with customers that also optimizes for like maximum conversion. That was a good learning experience.
As a founder, what has been the hardest thing you've tried to jump over for the last year, right? As you're starting to scale, is it people? Is it the tech? Is it fundraising? Is it product market fit? What the pricing model? What has been the hardest thing that you've been like, this is really difficult? You conquered it, but it's been pain behind.
Exactly. So I think that we've made very meaningful progress towards, coming up with like a set of product lines that are really focused towards the businesses that we serve. So I think there's, great progress in terms of like the actual product market fit itself, the value that the product provides. Now, what has been hard is being able to scale up on the operation side to actually match and deliver on what the product value is. And the reason for that is because, CRM, each customer typically has a CRM, and there's other integrations, other sort of tech pieces that require just like small modifications. They're not quite the same from customer to the customer. And so that requires some engineering resources on our end, being able to scale that, being able to sort of like manage the operation so that it's not so disorganized has been one of the things that we're working on.
So I imagine a lot of the companies that you're dealing with, some might have technical tools and employees, but some might not, because real estate companies are old and slow and not really too forward thinking. How hard is it dealing with those and integrating and connecting APIs and endpoints and all that? How are you getting over that? Is it doable, or is it like watching paint dry? How does that go?
Yeah, no, I think luckily a lot of the teams we're working with do have a CRM setup, like have some sort of CRM that's managing contacts. It's not just a Google spreadsheet. So I think things have progressed since then. But at the same time, yeah, it's just a lot of, manual overload at the beginning. In the beginning phases, there's a lot of manual sort of lift to be able to plug into a lot of these systems, make sure that it's configured with the exact configuration of the business and so on. But it's definitely doable. We just need to figure out a good operating model that can scale with more and more businesses. Yeah.
What are the top CRMs that you guys interact? What are most people using that you guys are playing with?
Yeah, I mean, obviously Zoho is a great one. Really love the Zoho platform. Follow Up Boss, another very common one. We work with HubSpot, Salesforce, Go High Level. Yeah, and then we also just do direct API integrations. So for example, as long as the CRM has an available API, you can integrate with it.
So looking ahead in the next, let's say 5 years, right? AI is just spreading like wildfire and all sorts of modals that you could go into, voice and text and video and freaking paper notes if you want, right? What is your kind of like Nostradamus view on what's going to happen over the next 5 years? If you put your big hairy audacious goal, what the hell's going to happen? Where's your brain at?
Yeah, I mean, the way that I think about it, let's just talk about, I guess, real estate and lending companies and so on. So if we remove that, I think that 5 years is too little. It may be close, but I think within maybe 10 years, we're going to have some robots, some actually intelligent robots that can assist you kind of like in your home, maybe start to do some physical tasks. Because right now, most of the AI, is still, communication based. I'm waiting to see when there's actually like physical intelligence.
I think Tesla, is it Tesla? Yeah, I think they're really pushing towards they're trying to get that done soon. Yeah, it's awesome.
I think that's kind of like the North Star. But then if we bring it back to kind of like, the business world or real estate lending, just companies in general, how would work change? I think that AI is going to just infiltrate all of these different pieces of the stack, right? Claire is really focused on top of funnel. We can help streamline, top of funnel tasks, make it super easy to have access to many more deals and opportunities every month. But I see there's going to be an operating system. There's going to be some that's managing all of these AI integrations for every piece of the stack. There's going to be a top of funnel piece. There's going to be a piece that does like automated underwritings and a piece that does automated recommendations, maybe like consumer facing AI that helps investors, helps customers just automatically curate kind of their searches, automated marketing tools. I think the video channel is super interesting, being able to send personalized videos to customers, past customers that may have already bought with you before. Things like being able to, I think there's just so many use cases that are just untapped right now. There needs to be somebody that's just constantly you're going to start to see a lot of these become just commonplace in the majority of businesses.
I'm with you. Well, I forgot to ask you something I want to go back to, which is what has been the biggest headwind that you're facing right now, talking to real estate companies? What is the biggest hard stop that they give you? Is it that, they can't get over?
Yeah, I think number one thing that I'm really trying to focus on is making sure that the AI has a human-like experience, right? Because ultimately, if the AI, still is similar to an IVR, to something that is actually a true robot, which only works with decision trees, that's not a great experience for customers. Where we try to come in is basically provide the world's most graceful AI. That's kind of what we're trying to coin it, is we're building a graceful AI that helps streamline double your bookings or triple your bookings per month while also maintaining an excellent sort of experience for your customers. And if we can get there, that's kind of like our North Star goal, at least initially.
Listen, I forgot to mention that we are power users of Flare. So I haven't said it straight up, but we love working with you guys and kind of interacting and the advances you guys have done and making this AI voice sound like a real humans with emotion. And, we have 10-minute calls that we listen to them. We're like, how is this happening? This is awesome. Yeah, we enjoy working with you guys. Any last comments you want to bring up or anything else, that's top of mind that you want founders or...
Who would you have a drink with?
Who would I? So I change it all the time. My standard answer is Justin Timberlake, because I think he'd just be fun. Recently, I said Alexander the Great because I finished his biography read, and it's kind of insane what he did so long ago with no technology, no AI, and it literally changes every couple months of something interesting every. That'd be fun. But I think it'd be like a round table of a whole lot of characters that I'd be like, okay, let's all have a good time together. We'll be smiling, we're having lots of drinks, and it's just I love experience sharing and sharing war stories, so that's why I always gravitate towards. So appreciate the time. Definitely encourage a lot of people to contact you because we've had a really good experience. You cold contacted us, right? From complete left field, and we hit it off, and we started working well with each other. But it's been a good experience, and we made a lot of progress in a short amount of time. And I could just expect, I could just see what's going to be coming over the next 6 months to a year, right? Appreciate the time. Thanks, man. Thanks for the time.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Investing with Sell to Rent is basically as easy as shopping on Amazon. First, it's free. You just sign up, set your buy box, and we start sending you deals that actually match what you're looking for. You also get full, free access to our nationwide property marketplace. Explore as much as you want. And you're not doing this alone. You get a dedicated investor advisor who handles the entire process so you can focus on one thing, growing your portfolio. Now the perks. With Sell to Rent, you get a tenant from day one. No downtime, no wasted money, and cash flow starts immediately. And the speed? If everything aligns, we close in as little as 15 days. Investing in rental real estate has never been this simple, this fast, or effortless. If you're ready to start, hit the link in the description.